Good morning, everybody. I know there were no videos yesterday. Let's see if I can explain to you what happened. I told you I was going to be late because I had the appointment with Lucy. I went down there, I took her down there. They were late showing up by 15 minutes. Then I went to the store, I walked home, I turned around, I walked back, I fell. Not once, 4 times. The initial fall was the fall, the other 3 were falls trying to stand up. Until a very nice person who works for Claro was working across the street, and there were 3 of them working on a pole. He jumped up, ran across the street, helped me get up while the other 2 guys just looked on like dorks. But this is, he was special. He was a nice guy. And once I'm up, I'm okay. Of course, I found a couple of cuts and bruises, and my knees are all swollen today and very sore. But that's, part of growing, part of what I'm doing. Then I have to listen to my wife tell me it was all my fault for where I was walking and everything else like that. So, yesterday was spent in a very bad mood, and I didn't feel like talking to you folks. So, So that was that. So I didn't bother making the video, even late in the by the time I would have gotten around to it, it would have been like 3 o'clock in there. I don't know what time it is where you guys are, but it's you probably sound asleep in most countries, so, that's the way it goes. All right. Now, there was an aircraft assault group heading towards the Mideast with like 4,000 troops on it. I don't know whether they were combat troops or not, but I think they were Marines. And they're now someplace in the area. And then just announced that Trump sent 1,000 airborne troops, paratroopers. Now, depending on what group they're from, the 82nd or the 102nd or wherever, these guys have personality problems. They think they're really bad shit, and they're usually isolated because they get in a lot of trouble around civilians and stuff like that when they're as a unit. When they're separate, they're all right. They're just like everybody else. But that's not the problem. They're there. While he's supposedly talking to people in Iran who swear up and down that they're not talking to Trump. He says, we're going to talk this weekend, which means that Trump's going to pull something on Palm Sunday, probably. Just because that's the way he is. And Palm Sunday's got absolutely nothing to do with that part of the country. Well, it does, but not with Iran. So you have to look for something great, because she's lying. There isn't a word of truth that comes out of that guy's mouth, except maybe, hi, I'm Donald, I'm president. Well, for now you are. Yeah, you are Donald, I think. I'll have to check your birth certificate. I'd like to see your birth certificate to find out if that's your real name or not. I always thought it was Donnie Poo Pants, but we'll see. Next, we've talked about this before. Water is in a crisis situation. Corpus Christi has reservoirs surrounding it that are down as little as 6% capacity. Okay? They're going to run out of water if this drought keeps going for in a few months or something like that, less than a few months. What they're going to do down there, they say, we'll have to start rationing water. If you're not rationing it now, you're insane. You should if you want to save what little water you have left, you need to put in very strict rationing programs, and then make sure everybody gets special nozzles and everything like that. So when the water does come back on, they're conservative. They can't just leave water running like they did before. See, that's the problem. It's the same problem with gasoline and food and everything else. Everybody thinks it's never going to go away. Well, I could tell you about food and money and everything like that because I lost it all, and I know it all goes away. Okay? I'm lucky I had friends that went to court and helped me get some time to build everything back up again. It's it's not easy. It's a tough world out there, and you keep going around and Lucy, lay down, down, bajo, bajo, go on, bajo. Bueno, bueno. She's giving me a hard time about food. She's becoming a very picky eater lately, and we'll have to stop that. But water and everything else is there's not an infinite supply of that stuff. There's not an infinite supply of oil, coal, or anything. There's not an infinite supply of oxygen on this planet. We keep destroying trees and not reforesting the areas. We keep polluting. All right, we keep not dealing with climate change, which we cause. You know, and nobody wants to believe it till it's too late, because it's not profitable. It cuts in. It makes them. They have to spend money without any return. All right, corporations don't mind spending money if they can look at it and say we're going to get a return from this. But when they do stuff for climate change, it costs them money, and it reduces their profits, and they just don't want to do with that. And that's the danger that you see coming at us. Now, as I said, people my age and whatnot, we can sit here and talk about it and tell you what you're doing wrong, and you're not going to listen. It's already probably too late for a lot of parts of the world. They're never going to fully recover back to the way they were 20 years ago. This planet's not going to be the same as it was 20 years ago. It's beat up, it's tired, it's old. It's tired of human beings, and the more you incorporate artificial intelligence into this, the more artificial intelligence is going to wake up and realize that we're the greatest danger, and you're going to have a Terminator situation, all right? Where the planet is just really going to become even more unusable because you're going to have to start being able to grow your food in a test tube. You know, you're not going to be able to live the life, any kind of life. You're going to be battling to stay alive. You may never see kids that are born today may never see. Well, I shouldn't say that. But we'll never get to appreciate trees and flowers and parks and drinking water. You know, they're just not going to be able to do it. It's a shame. I think that has more to do with the decline in the birth rate than, religion or anything else. But we'll have to wait and see about that. I'm not. People are crazy, sex drives people crazy, and they don't care, Guys don't care if they knock up 6 women. So that's just the way we are. We're the propagators. We're the power. You know what I mean? Dumb shits. All right, that takes care of that one. What was next? It's opening day in baseball, people. Isn't that wonderful? Opening day in baseball. Wow, what am I going to do now? I don't watch baseball. Baseball is a very boring game, unless you're into statistics. I mean, that's all the game is. It's a bunch of statistics. The announcers are statisticians now. They have 2 announcers or maybe 3 announcers working a game, and they've got 6 statisticians there keeping track of everything. How many hits does he get when he touches his left elbow 3 times before the pitch? They're looking for all that stuff. And now they got the TV cameras are even more powerful and whatnot, so they're taking care of that. But a new thing thrown into the mix. is that there are now they're going to be using them in the games this year, robotic umpires. And right now they're going to be used strictly for challenges because they're supposed to be that accurate. And I guess they're going to try and improve the accuracy of the human umpires. So what will happen, this is what I think is going to happen. Once they realize that they don't have to worry about pitches that are close anymore, and so they don't have to swing, there are either going to be more walks, which just drags the game on forever, more pitches thrown, they're not going to challenge a lot of stuff because you only get 2 challenges. So they'll challenge it in the crucial innings or a crucial spot. The rest of the time, they're just going to watch you. Now, I think the pitcher can challenge it too. I'm not sure. But if the pitcher can challenge it, the pitcher's going to be the one that challenges more than the hitter. So the hitter doesn't know how close the pitch really is a lot of times. They think. That's a big mistake. So you're going to see, I think, an increase in hitting and in home runs. Maybe not home runs, but hitting anyhow. Going to see a lot of foul balls. Or maybe not. Maybe this will help get rid of foul balls. I don't know. But I think it'll take about a year before people decide that this sucks and we're not going to the game anymore. Because it's, I got 3 hours, now you made it 4 hours, And pitchers are going to be reluctant to throw outside of the what do they call that? The zone, the strike zone, because they're going to get challenged. Now I don't know whether if they keep getting challenged, whether there's a punishment clause in there or not. I really don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. But I do know that that's not a good sign. They already use lasers and whatnot for positioning a football. Although those guys are pretty accurate where the ball goes and whatnot, the thing is that they don't use it a lot because, you don't want cheating. Because then the refs have more power if it's an inch where they put the ball, exactly where they put the ball. They give him if they give him an inch, you give him a first down that they might not see, but that the laser will see. So we'll see what happens with that down the road. I don't know where they could use it in basketball yet, but they'll probably figure out a way. They do challenge calls, and you can review them. I don't know how many reviews you get. I think they check possessions, change of possession fouls and stuff like that on their own. I guess they try to do a good job, but the gambling is back, at least in the college level, they say. Point shaving and whatnot is all back. They didn't do any good with it, Well, what do you expect? You got these guys advertising for the game, for the teams. The team sponsors are at least in football they are. They're gambling casinos. When that scandal breaks, it's going to destroy the economy because you got all these big billionaires owning the teams. All right, look, you're bored? I am. I'm sweating so bad, my jock is wet. You know what I'm talking about? I'm just sitting here. I got water dripping everywhere. It's so hot down here. It's the time of year. Easter's always been very hot for some reason. They have Good Friday, or was it Good Friday they do it, or this Sunday there'll be. I think there's a procession, and I will tell you that brutal. About at 9:30, walking up the hill, slowly, dressed nicely, most supposed to. A lot of people, this is a country where you see people show up in t-shirts and shorts for church. There's no formal attire. This Easter Sunday is the biggest day in the church down here. You would think that Christmas would be very big because they celebrate the birth of Christ, but no, they celebrate the rebirth of Christ on Easter Sunday. That's the big. I mean, you can't get a seat in the church. You'll see people there. If you've been missing a friend for a year, go to Easter Mass. They'll be there. I think it's ridiculous, but it's sort of hypocritical. But I've seen it in the United States, and it's the same down here. Anyhow, I'm out of here. We'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. Barring injury, barring, bad weather or anything like that, I should be here. I'll be live by 11 o'clock, I hope. Depends on how long it takes to load this. All right, so everybody take care. Have a great day. Hit that subscribe button on the way out, please. I need all the help I can get with this channel. All right, take it easy. Have a great